Hello viewers, welcome to yet another exciting episode of Mumtaz Herbal Product Presents Voice of Excellence. This is Sadid, Adnan, Wahid, your host for today's show, and today we have the pleasure of hosting a visionary leader in the global environmental sustainability landscape. Our guest today is Mr. Jeremy Fain, CEO of Blue Water Intelligence. So viewers, let's not keep our guests waiting and let's get started with the interview. Viewers, I have the pleasure of having Mr. Jeremy Fain with me, who is the guest of our today's show. He is the CEO of Blue Water Intelligence. Mr. Jeremy, thank you for having us and welcome to our show.
Thank you, Sadid.
Most welcome. Could you tell our audience about your company, Blue Water Intelligence?
So Blue Water Intelligence, or BWI as an acronym, is a river basin digitization company. Meaning, climate change has been affecting the way rivers behave. And we as a company are trying to predict, to forecast the way rivers will behave in terms of river flow, river water levels. It can also be water quality. So this is what we've been working on at BWI.
As our country is a rivering country, I think this is a very great initiative that's going to help our nation a lot.
Thank you.
So Mr. Jeremy, let's go back a little. Let's go back to your childhood. Like at first when you started going to school, what were your initial career goals?
Oh, I think like many boys, I've been moving from soccer player to plane pilot so I've all aircraft. You know, you start with a military, then commercial. Then when I realized I needed the glasses, I couldn't become a pilot anymore at that time. So probably I wanted to be an engineer at some point. I wasn't top of class in terms of math and physics, so I went for a business school. But I caught up specializing in computer science at a partner engineering school. And actually I've been enjoying dealing with computers and software ever since I was maybe 6, 7. I remember being very young and trying to read books and understand about computers.
So what inspired you to work in water and environmental sustainability? This is not something that is very common. Like not many people usually aspires to pursue a career in this particular field.
This is true. There are many questions bundled into your question. First of all, water, and we specialize in continental freshwater and more specifically in surface water is a very small market. There aren't many players in this industry because it's a small fishing pond, unlike for example oceanography or waste management or water treatment. So the reason I chose, if that is your question, this industry is that I wanted to make an impact, to have an impact on other people's life. And there is a quote from a French aviator and novelist, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, that I like, and I take it as a motto, as a personal motto. It is, don't think of what you inherit from your fathers, but think rather of what you give as a legacy to your children. And I think it's important, as a matter of waking up and enjoying rushing to work. It's important to remember that every day you are trying to make an impact on other people's life and better our playground. Because at the end of the day, we all have an interest in making this playground sustain as long as possible and improve also, not only maintaining. It's not about maintenance, it's about improving in the playground, and it's quite challenging, as you know.
How did your career path led you to Blue Water Intelligence, which is BWI in short, and what motivated you to take on the role as the CEO of this company?
I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and by entrepreneur I don't only mean to start things, but to build things. So I had, after my studies back in 2007, I had co-founded with friends of mine a company named Vertigo, and the vision behind Vertigo was to design and sell non-environmental profiling software to corporations. So I stayed there for 11 years. So I left the company in 2018. mostly because it had found its product market fit after a while, and the market was retail, and I wanted to have an impact on the environment, and I was not finding myself I was not the man of the situation any longer, and fortunately I had amazing partners who did then a good job at creating shareholders value and selling the company recently to an American PLM company. So these were the first 11 years of my career, building from scratch to a profitable software company in the SaaS business, software as a service, making an impact already, because environmental profiling means looking at the impact companies may have when it comes to greenhouse gas emissions, water footprint, embodied energy, and so on and so forth. So in 2018, initial idea was to start the company yet again, so I started to wonder. I noticed that the building industry had a severe environmental footprint, so I started looking at this industry. And coincidentally, I met the founder of a tech company that was designing and selling access control software and hardware. It was a very small company, like three, four people when I joined in 2019. And I became the CEO of it by partnering with the founder for 3 years. So we grew the company tenfold and turned it profitable. And then for reasons of company life, we parted ways. Basically, the day after I became free yet again, and I got a call from a headhunter hiring for BWI. And so the founder, so my president Philippe and his longtime partners Jean-Yves, Marc, Emeric and Nicolas were actually starting a business in named BWI, and they wanted to do something around water because, like me, they had this feeling that something must be done to actually better understand the water cycle using new technologies like AI, like Earth observation, like remote sensing. And I basically said, okay, I'm in. How are we making this work together? And this was the beginning of me joining BWI as CEO.
So, Mr. Jeremy, when we were speaking off the camera, you were saying that this is your 5th trip in Bangladesh so far. So, what has been your experience here? And have you noticed any significant changes in our country's socio-economic or environmental landscape?
Of course, I haven't actually. It was probably the best time to watch Bangladesh because there has been a kind of a revolution in the span of a year. I mean, from an environmental perspective, I have not seen many changes, mostly because I have mostly stayed in Dhaka. So I haven't yet had the chance or taken the time to visit the country and to discover your beautiful landscapes. I've been, out of Dhaka, but it's still, Dhaka region. But however, on the socio-economic side and on the political side, there has been drastic changes in your society, as you know, Sadid. Basically, from my perspective, so the modest perspective of a foreigner with Western eyes looking at Bangladesh through Western media, the Bangladesh society is keen on, is actually not risk adverse. It has the ability to face uncertainties, and obviously as an entrepreneur, I like that. And from a political viewpoint, obviously we are not out of the wood yet, but there is a democratic process. And current chief advisor, Professor Yunus, not being a politician himself, wants, I think, to make a standing positive footprint on the country. He says, if we behave unfair, then what is the difference between them and us? And I really like that because it takes wisdom to actually talk like this in front of students that are still taking to the streets, right? There are still protests from students. And I wanted to finish on this note. The revolution from 1.0 to 2.0 is actually not a revolution. It's a revolution because it's a new version of Bangladesh, right? And it came from students.
How do you see Bangladesh's challenges in water quality management, flood control, and climate change adaptation? Like, what are the prospects of improvement in these particular fields?
I'll split the question into three. Quantitative water resource aspect, qualitative water resource aspect, and then climate change. On the quantitative side, well, Bangladesh, as you know, is a flat country. It is mostly a delta. So it is very prone to erosion. So there is a lot of influence from tides, from weather on the coastal area, but also on rivers. It is it bears a very complex hydrology because Bangladesh is the country with the most rivers in the world. There are a little more than 900 river basins in Bangladesh, and it makes of it a very special country. Obviously, as a South Asian country, it has been experiencing monsoon phenomena forever. So, for us, Bangladesh is a pitch where, as players on that pitch, we are learning. The learning experience is very steep, and I see Bangladesh actually fighting for. I see actually decision makers in cities fighting for the good of Bangladeshis in the most vulnerable areas. So I think from the moment you care, you find solutions. There are always solutions, not to act against nature, but to do better than what was done in the past. So that's on. So I think Bangladesh is on the right track when it comes to managing and trying to anticipate floods, and also that there is the drought issue. But I think we should stick to flood, which is to me top priority in the Bangladesh context. Question about climate change. So climate change is something no one really understands perfectly. It's an extremely complex phenomenon. But if I take Dhaka as an example, the city is way too big to resist, and too big and populated to resist plus 2-3 degrees by 2050. So trees need to be planted. Buildings need to be turned into more efficient, more energy efficient recipients of people, of human life, and nature needs to be reintroduced into the system for the city to become resilient. But this is a problem that most metropolitan areas in the world face, and I'm sure you'll make it, because there is this drive and this energy to achieve climate change adaptation in Bangladesh.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that. Let's hope for the best. So far, we have mostly talked about very serious topics, but I want to finish this interview on a lighter note. So far, how was your experience in Bangladesh? What are your remarks about our culture?
Up to now, because you never know, I've been coming again, right? So my experience has been amazing. Bangladeshis are extremely welcoming people. I've been feeling home from the very first day I've landed here. There's not much to say outside of the fact that people are extremely open to foreigners. They're always trying to help. Bangladesh is a beautiful country, and I'm happy to be a welcome visitor whenever I come.
How do you like our food?
I love Bangladeshi food. So
do you have any particular favorite Bangladeshi dish?
Yes, of course. I like dal and paneer together for a meal, and a good lassi for dessert.
Oh, nice. So one more question before I finish this off. Have you picked up any Bangladeshi phrases?
I try to say "How are you?" whenever I can, but usually people don't understand me, so I've said, okay, let me stick to English. I can do this.
Don't worry, I'm sure it's gonna get better. Thank you, Mr. Jeremy. It was pleasure having you. But last but not the least, before we go, we have a gift for you from our sponsor, which is Mumtaz Herbal products. Mr. Jeremy, here's our gift.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you very much.